your daughter, your son, your niece, your cousin, or your brother, someone, he, she, or they just came out as LGBT or Q, and it's overwhelming. It's emotional. I get it. Do you have any idea how much your reaction, how much your words really mean to that person's health, physical health, mental health, emotional health? It's a lot. But I'm here to tell you some of the research that we have about how the family can play into the health impacts of the LGBTQ youth. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Jonathan Lucero McKinney, and I am a physician assistant student passionate about LGBTQ health. Each week I cover a topic as it relates to my study in school, and then I do a little more research to look up a journal publication to shed some more light on how it uniquely affects our community in the LGBTQ world. As I stated, this week's video is going to be about how the family dynamic plays into the health of LGBTQ youth. Do you have any idea how much impact the family has on just anyone growing up? How much it guides your interactions with individuals moving forward in your life? And how much do we know about how LGBTQ youth experience the world and this coming out process and the stress and the stigma that's associated with it? And how can we foster the development of these individuals? The journal publication I have chosen for today is entitled The Influence of Families on LGBTQ Youth Health, a call to action for innovation in research and intervention development, written by Newcomb and colleagues in the Journal of LGBT Health. The title of this publication is lengthy, but the amount of research that we have, not so much. We need a lot more research looking into LGBTQ youth and the impact that the family has. But I'm going to review the topics covered in this paper, and I think it makes sense to break it down into two parts. The first being how the family plays into the coming out process and the emotions that are involved there. And then the second part is what family members can do to make sure that this is a successful transition for everyone. So first off, in tackling the family's influence on the coming out process, the paper talks about how rejecting families, pushing the LGBTQ youth away and rejecting their coming out essentially leads to increased rates of homelessness among our population. And the rejection can also lead to increased rates of substance abuse and risky sexual behavior. I'm talking things like transactional sex. This is sex to stay alive. It's sex to get money or food in order to live out on the streets. And while the most well-intentioned families could show rejection as a form of tough love in order to obtain some sort of gratification for themselves, as we see is that rejection leads to increased rates of terrible things for these LGBTQ youth. And what the research shows is that supportive and acceptive parents and loved ones ultimately inspire better health in these youth. Not having strong social supports can lead you to lean on other less healthy coping mechanisms like drinking or getting involved in the wrong crowd. Let's face it, this is a huge stressor in this young person's life. Something that heterosexual young people don't have to go through. All right, and now to approach some successful ways that you can help manage stress as a family. Things like family-based counseling and going to see a therapist or psychiatrist certainly work for stress in cisgender heterosexual youth. However, it's not been studied in sexual or gender minorities. Now, if it's a knowledgeable provider about these types of issues, I would assume it would do some good. But right now, we don't have any research about it. The fact of the matter is that information is key. Gaining more knowledge is key. And in fact, the paper states that parents, caregivers, they want to know. They want to know how to deal with these things. They want guidance. It's new. It can be strange at first when a loved one breaks the news to you that they are LGBTQ. Of course, doing your own research online, finding a reputable source, and shedding some light on these topics is always a good place to start. And the paper also cites a number of peer-led support groups that you could try out too. There is the Parents and Friends of Lesbian and Gays, or PFLAG, Parents of Transgender Individuals, and one program that is doing some really awesome work that I want to shout out is the Family Acceptance Project, where they provide resources for both parents and providers, healthcare providers looking to educate themselves on these matters so that you can serve these families more appropriately. There's also a documentary that the paper cites may help you through this process. It's called Lead with Love. And to quote part of the paper in this, it says that This documentary can give support, information, and behavioral guidance after a child comes out. Certainly wish that my mother would have watched this when it was my time. Don't worry, we're awesome. Love her, she loves me, it's golden. Here's the thing. There's a ton of research out there that shows the impact on the family to the heterosexual, the cisgender individual, the young person. Not so much for the gender sexual minority groups. We just need more research and we need more awareness about this. We don't know yet how the stigma and the stress of the coming out process and how the family ties into that, how it ultimately affects the person long term. Do they tend to struggle more with their identity based on how the family reacts? We just don't know. But if I had one thing to say, it's that communication is key. Open and honest, curious communication is the way to overcome all peril. Being loved is to be heard for who you are. And as a parent or caregiver or family member, listening to the person and giving yourself some time to digest the information and respond is hugely impactful. And if you're someone on the coming out side of the equation, one of the LGBTQ youth, I encourage you to not become too overly sensitive to emotions that occur at the onset of a coming out process. Sometimes it can be extreme. It cannot accurately reflect what that person is really feeling, and more a outlash, a visceral reaction to what you're saying. Sometimes words can hurt, but ultimately forgiving and forgetting about these things is super helpful. Okay, that's all I have. I really hope that some of the things that I told you from this paper help you and that you use some of these as resources, whether it's a peer-led support group or you check out the Family Acceptance Project or the documentary. And while we don't have much research on this topic, what I can say is that you are a product of your environment. Your family plays a huge part in who you end up becoming. Thanks again for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time. Bye.